we've seen him a couple times down here already, but it is nice to get closer to kind of ramping up and getting everything going and making it official, but definitely exciting.
Having a lot of guys here early, what does that tell you? Does that show an eagerness to get here and get ahead of the game?
Yeah, we've always had that. Our guys are super eager to get going every year. A lot of them starting to trickle in once February hits, but there's a big group of guys that have been getting some really good work in over the last couple of weeks down here. We've been able to lay eyes on it, and we're excited as well.
What's been the difference in the lead up to camp this year compared to your first year last year when it was all kind of rushed with the lockout?
A big part of it is just communication, being able to have our staff communicating with our players, understanding where they're at, being able to go and see them in person and kind of lay eyes on them even during the off season. So less surprises coming into camp, you know kind of where everybody's at.
Mo said yesterday you all had your first full staff in-person meeting, kind of got everybody together. What's that been like, just the integration with the guys that are on the staff? Now, obviously, it's a lot of guys who were internal, but big changes for sure.
Most excited I've ever been heading into the season. Our staff, it's a good group of guys that when you're building a staff, you want to make sure that you're bringing a lot of different personalities and skill sets to the table, and I think we did a really good job of that. It's getting guys to cover each other's blind spots, and we have, a personality for every single player that's in that clubhouse and how we're going to reach them. But also from a skill set standpoint, these guys are really good. So they all are on the same page when it comes to what we're trying to do here, and that's to continue to elevate the culture in that clubhouse. So,
did Joe need directions into the complex, or did he still have those stashed away from the last time he was here?
He's made his way around here just fine. Yeah.
You're a guy who loves competition, preaches competition. Mo was just saying that this is going to be a camp of competition at several spots.
I think we say that every year because it's true. There's usually a spot where you're eager to see kind of how it unfolds, and there's competition. More than any other year, I would say there's going to be a lot of competition this year. There's a lot of spots that if you take your foot off the pedal, you will get past. And I look forward to seeing all of it.
When Mo was talking about where the competition might be this spring, he identified two groups, one being the middle infield and one being the outfield. How would you express the competition level heading into the spring? I know it's a long spring and these things can settle themselves out, but
they usually do. But leading into it, you really want to see how guys are approaching it and then just embracing the competition. So that's a big part of it. I'd agree that those are two spots. And then you have a group of lefties that are all competing to see who's going to be the guy to get another left-handed out in the pen. So there's different areas, but seeing how they all come into it, embrace just what's in front of them is going to be a big part of this as well.
With the rule changes that have come into play with the pitcher's clock and the bases,
sure.
Will you guys do anything differently as far as stressing fundamentals?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. And we have a meeting tomorrow morning with our AAA staff to go over different strategies that they used or got used against them when it comes to some of these rules, like the pickoff rule. There's decent communication within our big league staff and our minor league staff to make sure that we're not missing anything and how we communicate it to our guys. So, yeah, that would be a big part of our spring as well.
Is there an extra layer of reflection when you see Wainwright on the mound there, knowing this is, perhaps his last spring training and, just such a career? He's been here every year for, 18 years or something?
Yeah. I personally don't think of it that way. I'm ready to see him compete, and if you asked him, he probably is just ready to compete as well. But at some point, we'll look back and take it all in as far as the fact that it is his last year and some of the moments that will be created throughout the year. But right now, we're just ready to get going.
Why do you think he'll be good this year? What about Wainwright excites you?
I think he's been good every year. But gave me the nod like almost every year, but no.
No. No, I was more of like,
no,
I know, he's Wainwright. He's really good.
No. He's healthy. He's feeling really good. The sinker, if you look at the consistency of it last year compared to how he's come in right now, it's night and day. There's a really good feel for it. The cutter, he feels as good as he's felt in a long time, and that's super encouraging to everybody in that clubhouse.
And on the other side of the battery, Wilson Contreras, he's here. He's wearing Cardinal red. It's happening. What are you excited to see him showcase here at camp?
He described it really well when he did his presser. He envisioned himself in this uniform, and he's looking forward to contributing to this organization. And I mean, every second you talk to him, it's just oozing, and he is really excited about getting started here. He gets along with our guys well. There's been really good communication between him and the rest of our group during the off season. So being able to kind of see him get suited out in red and come out here is fun.
A lot of familiar faces. You know these guys, but they're all 19 of them are getting ready to take off for 2 or 3 weeks. How important is that first 10 days or so to build some cohesion before they take off?
Yeah, it's important, and we'll do a good job of making sure that we're protecting the culture early, and they're going to take off and go play, and they'll be fine. It's part of it. It'll allow us a great opportunity to see some of these young guys that normally you run out of at-bats or innings for. They'll stick around a lot longer, and we'll be able to truly evaluate what we have. So, yeah.
Knowing that WBC would have been an opportunity for Wilson probably too, what did you make of his decision, or what were those conversations like about him joining the Cardinals as the catcher at that position in particular, to say, I'm going to be here for camp?
It spoke to his commitment to what he finds important, which is to start to build some of those relationships and establish himself as one of the leaders in that clubhouse. So awesome decision for us, and I'm glad he made it, but there was no convincing this is something that Wilson wanted to do.
Ollie, I'd like to ask you about the competition again, because we talk about it every year. So, but give me some latitude as I kind of work my way through this. You start every spring probably with an idea in mind, a pencil. Like rotation would be an example this year. You could pencil in 5 names and know who the favorites are to leave camp.
Yeah.
Are there spots? Do you do that for every spot? Or are there spots this spring you purposefully don't do that for?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, a fair question. We went through it this morning with a couple staff members of here's what it could look like, and here's where there's there's different levels of competition. Some are wide open, like who's going to take it, and some are you better not take your foot off the pedal because people are close. Right. And you have different levels of that at different positions, but
I know you're not going to divulge which ones are
that's
which,
correct,
but is that unusual, or is that pretty common?
I feel like this year there's more spots where there's true competition taking place, where it'll really come down to how these guys respond to certain things that come up throughout the course of the spring. So it'll be fun.
What are some things that can happen in spring that would decide those? Because in some ways I would imagine there's a position that the guy who is there on opening day may not be there come October because he's been overtaken by somebody.
Yeah, it's fair.
So what are some things in spring that can
honestly, you can be fooled by spring training pretty easily,
right,
one way or another, right? We sat here a year ago and you guys were asking if Tommy Edman was ever going to get a hit again, and it ended up okay.
And if
for
he
him.
was going to play shortstop.
Yeah. So the reality is you can be fooled by spring. So it's not so much in strictly performance as much as how they handle and embrace competition, how they handle getting punched in the face early on, and how just the adversity that comes with this game. You can tell a lot through those interactions, more so than did he go 3 for 4, or because you can easily put up some crazy numbers in spring and it doesn't translate, and vice versa. You can have a really bad spring and then tear it up as soon as the season starts. So it's more so how they're going to respond to other things that we throw their way along the course of the next several weeks. Hopefully that answers a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I hope my question made sense. I'll speak specifically. It seems like a pick 'em for your lefty race. If you were to write in who your favorites are, if you're coaching, 4 or 5 different answers.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. But other positions aren't. So let me ask this then.
Okay.
You talk about how guys respond to spring. Is that also true for some of the incumbents, where maybe the competition is a little closer than the mirror might indicate? You want to see how they react to that?
Ask it differently.
Do you have a guy who was the starter for you last year?
Mm-hmm.
Not any position, could be a starting pitcher, could be
Yeah.
anything. But do you also look for how they respond in spring to you're our guy until someone overtakes you?
No doubt. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's I don't want to say fun part, but that is the industry we're in. That's sport, right? Like the ability to show up. The reason Paul Goldschmidt is good is because he truly comes into camp every year not wanting to lose his spot, as crazy as that sounds, right? Like he's an established, I mean, he's best player in the big leagues last year. Like he will come in not wanting to lose his job. And that's the reason he's good year after year after year. And it'll be interesting to see if anybody comes into camp with their foot not all the way down.
Are you excited you don't have to answer questions about who's going to bat third and clean up for you all spring?
Somebody will ask for sure. Yeah.
As we stand here today, how much have you seen Jordan Walker? Just like overall, whether tape or live? Yeah.
I mean, video, yes. Yeah. But live, not a ton. So it'll be really good. And those are one of the guys that's going to benefit from some of these guys going to the WBC because, I mean, you'll have a decent amount of at-bats available daily. So we'll be able to really lay eyes and see what we have. Yeah.
What do you want or need to see from him? Like, is this a guy where? Okay.
It's a tough question because, I mean, there's no like real answer like, oh, we need to be able to see him do this offensively or this. It's a matter of laying eyes on him, see how he responds to different things that come up throughout the course of the game, how he sees the game. Obviously, his performance matters, but there's a lot of other boxes to check there as well.
He's also a guy who's only played the outfield for like 6 months at this point, and
he's taken to it well, and he's working at it. And the thing is, when you have a guy with high aptitude who's eager to learn, that development process is expedited. Like you get to where you want to a little quicker, and he's got the right traits to kind of collapse time a little bit.
Do you have a sense where Dylan and Tyler are? You said during winter warm-up you hope they're waking up every day fighting to keep their job. You get a sense that they're coming to camp knowing that
they seem focused. They seem really focused in conversations with Dylan and being able to lay eyes on Tyler over the last several days down here. They're focused and they know what's at stake. They're ready to compete and help the team win. And but I would describe them as focused.
I admit this is a simple question, but the modern game, home runs are very important. You just added Wilson Contreras, who hits home runs a lot. Can you put in your own words the importance of Contreras' ability to change the dynamic of a ball game with one swing?
We were able to fill the catching position and also get the bat that we needed, right? Like, this is a guy that's a true threat, handles righties and lefties extremely well, and puts fear across the way.
So with that in mind, do you have an example of maybe where he put fear across the way at you?
I've communicated. I did not like playing against them for several reasons, and he made it very clear that he was intentional about making sure we didn't like him. So that's always good to know that someone can make you feel that way across the way and being intentional with it, because now you have them on your side. And you add that to the other guys we have in that clubhouse, and I wouldn't want to face us.
With the DH coming in last year, you guys were pretty clear about wanting to use that pretty strategically, but then obviously by the end of the year, Albert was doing his thing, and so that he played a lot there. So there was no decision. How do you guys view, I guess, how the DH could be used effectively for you guys coming into the spring with that dynamic not in play anymore?
I'm going to answer this without sarcasm. We'll continue to be strategic with that position. We will, because it allowed us to do a couple things last year, and we'll continue to do it this year, is get Goldie off his feet, get Nolan off his feet, and allow them to still bring their bat to the team that day without having to play defense. And we'll continue to do that and be mindful as to how we move guys around. But that plays for Wilson as well, and others that are going to compete to be the righty and lefty off the bench that could fill that DH position. So yeah, it's we'll continue to be strategic with it.
Have you been forgiven by the Pujols fan base yet, or are you still?
I think they'll allow me into the DR after hitting 700, which my family and I are thankful for.
Did you get a text from Albert yet? I'm like laying on a beach somewhere right now.
He's enjoying his off season, yes.
Off season?
Yeah.
He's playing
retirement.
His off.
Enjoying his off.
His off, yes.